about abusive homes, and I learned about the poor situations, the lack of money, the lack of resources.
A lot of them grew up in the city. I grew up in the city. There's buildings and nothing but buildings, hardly any trees.
Some kids, the situation is horrible. Mom is gone, dad is gone, they're living with their grandparents, and so they got a lot of pent-up rage.
Most recently, a young man who comes from a neighborhood where in order to make money, you gotta sell drugs, and it's cool to sell drugs. You can have a big stack of cash in your pocket, and he comes from a divorced family like myself.
They're tough, quote unquote, like that would be your first impression, but I mean, once you get to know them, once you talk to them, it's a reason why they have this facade of being tough or this facade of being the bad boy or whatever.
They come to camp, which is a safe place and a place where they can find family.
People impacted my life to the point where who knows where I would be if I didn't come to camp.
I had a cabin that was especially tough, and they all were really mad at me for a punishment that I gave them, and so they all decided to turn on me and started chanting for me to go work at McDonald's and tell me that I shouldn't be here, and so I had to call my unit leader in, and she was trying to talk to them, but then they were upsetting her so much that we were both crying and bawling together, and so I was just like, I was praying, I was like, God, this isn't working, I'm not getting through to them. But then that night, 3 of them accepted Christ as their Savior.
Bring kids to Christ that may not ever hear this again.
A few weeks ago, there was a child that was constantly causing trouble, and when he went home, he was a completely different person. He did a 180 degrees, and his sister came to camp this week, and she was just saying how her brother's a completely different person.
You're basically one of the biggest impacts on a child's life that they'll have. I'm gonna say it before, if you can come here and work here as a counselor, I mean, I would jump at the chance.
A lot of times, a lot of these kids have never done a lot of the things that we have here at camp.
We have archery.
I didn't think I'd be very good at it, but it's addicting.
The low ropes course.
Where y'all at? Y'all gotta help lift them up. You're gonna come over here and you stick your hands in the air and make sure nobody falls. If somebody does fall, you can't run out of the way. You have to help them. You have to put your hands up there. Hands up!
And it's great to see their faces when you tell them you're going to be swimming every day, if not twice a day. They're just like, I can't believe it.
Swimming is the kids' favorite, and so it's fun to watch them have just a blast with the pool.
Love swim time beyond anything else. And outdoor games like we got volleyball, there's horseshoes, basketball.
Here. What's up, no, that was late. New play.
Spectacular moments right here, people.
We also got the rock wall.
And arts and crafts, if you like to build rockets, you can build rockets out here.
We have a high ropes course, the high ropes challenge course, and part of that, the whole thing about that is it's just perceived risk. I mean, it really makes you get scared to the point where you think you can get hurt, but you can't.
You still have to remain connected. You can't roll on your white rope still. That's still the rule.
Oh, I can't talk.
I'd never done high ropes before, and I have an extreme fear of heights, but I've conquered that this summer, along with many of my girls, so that's really fun.
I always think that on the high ropes you are yourself. You cannot pretend to be anyone else, especially the kids, because you are petrified, or because the kids are petrified. And the facade is wiped away, the mask that some kids go around with is wiped away. Tears can sometimes stream down their eyes, and they just are themselves, and they need help, and they have to rely on each other.
If you want to do every activity here, you can get up and probably be busy for 24 hours straight.
The staff is amazing, honestly. Like, you can't ask for a better staff, I don't think, because everybody is different. So for all this diversity at camp, like, you're getting everything. Like, you have people that are from overseas, from England, and one guy from Africa.
I still talk to those same two friends from Australia.
People from Chicago, Oklahoma.
The people who've seen the world from a totally different perspective than you ever have.
You meet so many people from so many different backgrounds, from so many different places across the US and other countries, and yet we all work together for the same purpose.
One thing that we found out together was it's about the relationships that as a counselor or a unit leader or whatever job you have here that you make with the other staff. The friendships that last for a lifetime.
It's good to know that you're not alone.
You have your counselors around you, and you have your small or your large group of friends you've made, right? Who are there to talk to you and who are there to play with you.
The first week I was a little scared that it was going to be really cliquey, but then as you split up and as you're going throughout your day and through the challenges and through the blessings, we just really grew together, and I feel like I can go to anybody here.
The counselors last year, and I can say with assurance this year, have been amazing.
My relationship with Christ has strengthened so much. I've never experienced a strengthening like this before ever. And when you go through like these struggles and obstacles, you really depend on Him a whole lot more than, you know, if everything's going fine, everything is going great. It's like you're not really learning or growing because you're just used to the same thing. But when things are not working out, you do look deeper.
I go to a Christian college, and so it seems like everyone around me is faithful, and that's really good, but at the same time you're not challenged all the time, whereas here you're constantly challenged, and when they have attitudes or whatever and you want to get an attitude back, you have to realize that that's what they get all the time, and you have to be something different than what they're used to, and so you have to love them even in those hard times, and that's when God comes in. That's when the prayers that you really see answered. And so I've always known God is real, but here He is so real. It's so evident every day.
You really learn to grow from dealing with those problems. At the same time, you learn to pray with these kids. You learn how to evangelize. You learn how to do so many things.
This allows you to be very well-rounded. It allows you to expect the unexpected. It teaches you to be a team leader.
For the past 2 summers, I've been a unit leader at camp, and that exposed me to several more challenges, not just with the kids, but with counselors as well. So that's been quite the experience, and something I don't think I could ever trade.
It's going to change your life. It's going to change your perspective. If you're just used to living in the suburbs or living in the city, and you're not really used to working with kids and at risk youth and youth who might not be at risk, but their parents wanted them to come and just get something good into their lives, it'll change your life and you'll change the kids' lives.